how Islam came to Ukraine and why people are converting. What if I told you that Islam has been part of Ukraine for over 1,000 years? Long before modern borders, long before today's headlines, Muslim traders, scholars, and entire communities were shaping the region's culture. And today, despite war, displacement, and global tensions, some Ukrainians are still choosing Islam. Why? What draws them? And what challenges do they face? This is a story of history, identity, faith, and change. One, a lesser-known story. When people think of Islam in Europe, they often think about Western countries like France or the UK. But very few realize that Islam has deep historical roots in Eastern Europe, especially in Ukraine. This is not a new phenomenon. It is a story that stretches back centuries, filled with trade, empires, conflict, survival, and revival. 2. Early arrival of Islam in Ukraine. Islam first reached the lands of present-day Ukraine around the 7th-10th centuries. This happened mainly through trade routes connecting the Islamic world with Eastern Europe. Muslim merchants from regions like Central Asia and the Middle East traveled along routes linked to the famous Silk Road. These traders didn't just bring goods, they brought ideas, beliefs, and culture. Some historians believe that early Muslim influence touched areas around the Black Sea in southern Ukraine through these interactions. However, the real turning point came later. 3. The Golden Horde era. In the 13th century, a major historical shift happened with the rise of the Mongol Empire, particularly the Golden Horde, a powerful state that ruled large parts of Eastern Europe, including Ukraine. The rulers of the Golden Horde gradually accepted Islam. One key figure was Uzbek Khan, who officially made Islam the state religion in the 14th century. This had a huge impact. Islam spread among the ruling elites. Mosques and Islamic institutions developed. Muslim culture became part of the region's identity. At this time, Islam was not just a minority religion, it was part of political power. 4. The rise of the Crimean Khanate. One of the most important chapters in Ukraine's Islamic history is the Crimean Khanate, established in the 15th century. This state was a Muslim kingdom, closely connected to the Ottoman Empire, centered in Crimea. The people known as Crimean Tatars became the primary Muslim population in the region. The Crimean Khanate played a major role in trade across the Black Sea, cultural exchange between East and West, the spread of Islamic education and traditions. Cities like Bakhchisarai became centers of Islamic learning and architecture. 5. Russian expansion and decline of Islamic influence. In the late 18th century, a major turning point occurred when the Russian Empire, under Catherine the Great, annexed Crimea. This led to the decline of Muslim political power, pressure on Islamic institutions, migration of many Muslims out of the region. Over time, Islam became less visible, though it never disappeared completely. 6. Soviet era, suppression of religion. The situation became even more difficult during the Soviet Union. Under Soviet rule, religion was discouraged or banned, mosques were closed or destroyed, religious education was restricted. One of the most tragic events was the deportation of Crimean Tatars in 1944 under Joseph Stalin. Hundreds of thousands were forcibly removed from their homeland and sent to Central Asia. This caused massive loss of life, cultural disruption, weakening of Islamic practice in Ukraine. 7. Revival after independence. When Ukraine became independent in 1991, everything began to change. Muslims, especially Crimean Tatars, started returning to their homeland. With them came a revival of Islamic identity. This revival included rebuilding mosques, establishing Islamic schools, reconnecting with global Muslim communities. Islam in Ukraine began to grow again, not just as a tradition, but as a living faith. Islam in modern Ukraine. Today, Islam in Ukraine is diverse and evolving. The Muslim population includes Crimean Tatars, the largest group, immigrants from Middle Eastern and Asian countries, ethnic Ukrainians who have converted to Islam. Major cities like Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Odessa have active Muslim communities. 9. Why are people converting to Islam in Ukraine? This is one of the most interesting parts of the story. Conversions to Islam in Ukraine happen for several reasons. A. Search for meaning. Many people are looking for purpose, structure, and spirituality. Islam provides clear beliefs, Daily practices. A strong sense of connection with God. B. Influence of personal relationships. Some Ukrainians learn about Islam through friends, marriage, social interactions. This personal exposure often leads to deeper understanding. C. Intellectual curiosity. People explore Islam through reading the Quran, studying history, watching online content. They are drawn to its logical and structured worldview. D. Moral and social values. Islam emphasizes discipline, charity, family values. These principles attract individuals seeking stability in uncertain times. 10. Impact of recent events. Recent conflicts, especially since 2014 and the escalation in 2022, have changed life in Ukraine. War has led to displacement, loss, deep emotional struggles. In such situations, people often turn to faith. Islam, like other religions, offers hope, patience, meaning during hardship, continuation, deep analysis, challenges, future and emotional ending. Challenges Muslims face in Ukraine. While Islam is growing again in Ukraine, the journey is not easy. Muslims, both born and new converts, face several real challenges. A. Social misunderstanding. Many Ukrainians have limited exposure to Islam. Because of global media narratives, Islam is sometimes misunderstood. Converts especially may face questions from family, social pressure, stereotypes about their beliefs. However, over time, awareness is slowly improving as more people interact with Muslim communities directly. Political and regional tensions. After 2014, when Crimea was annexed by Russia, the situation for Muslims, especially Crimean Tatars, became more complex. Many reports from international organizations, including Human Rights Watch, have highlighted restrictions on religious freedom, pressure on Muslim communities, surveillance and political challenges. This has forced many Muslims to relocate to mainland Ukraine, rebuilding their lives once again. C. War and instability. The full-scale conflict that escalated in 2022 has impacted everyone in Ukraine, including Muslims. War creates displacement, economic hardship, psychological stress. Mosques and community centers in some areas have been damaged or closed. Despite this, Muslim organizations continue to provide humanitarian aid, not just to Muslims, but to all Ukrainians. 12. The strength of the Muslim community. Even with challenges, the Muslim community in Ukraine has shown resilience. Organizations like Spiritual Administration of Muslims of Ukraine work to organize religious life, provide education, promote peaceful coexistence. Mosques are not just places of worship, they are centers of support, learning, and unity. During times of war, many Muslims have volunteered in relief efforts, donated food and medicine, helped displaced families. This has improved the image of Islam and built bridges with wider society. 13. The experience of converts. For Ukrainians who convert to Islam, the journey is deeply personal. Many describe a sense of peace after accepting Islam, a structured lifestyle through daily prayers, a stronger moral compass. But the path is not always easy. Some converts face family resistance, cultural adjustment, learning a completely new way of life. Yet many remain committed because they feel a deep inner conviction. 14. Islam and identity in Ukraine. One of the most interesting aspects of Islam in Ukraine is how it blends with local identity. Unlike some regions, Islam in Ukraine is not tied to one ethnicity alone. It includes Crimean Tatars, ethnic Ukrainians, international students and migrants. This diversity creates a unique Islamic culture, one that is European in setting, global in connection, local in expression. 15. The role of education and media. In today's digital world, information plays a major role in shaping beliefs. Many Ukrainians learn about Islam through YouTube lectures, online articles, social media discussions. Accurate information helps break stereotypes and allows people to explore Islam based on knowledge rather than fear. However, misinformation can also spread easily, making authentic education more important than ever. 16. Future of Islam in Ukraine. Looking ahead, the future of Islam in Ukraine depends on several key factors. A. Peace and stability. If stability returns, communities will have the opportunity to rebuild and grow stronger. Interfaith dialogue. Better understanding between religions can reduce prejudice, promote unity, strengthen society as a whole. C. Youth engagement. Young Muslims in Ukraine are educated, connected globally, active in society. They will shape the future of Islam in the country. 17. A story of survival and faith. The story of Islam in Ukraine is not just about history, it is about survival. From the time of the Golden Horde, through the era of the Crimean Khanate, through oppression under Joseph Stalin, to revival after independence, Islam has endured. It has faced political collapse, forced migration, cultural suppression. Yet it continues to exist and even grow. 18. Why this story matters. Understanding Islam in Ukraine helps us see a bigger picture. Islam is not limited to one region. It has deep roots in Europe. It continues to evolve with time. It also shows how faith can provide strength during hardship, unite communities, give meaning to people searching for truth. Imagine losing your homeland, your culture, your place of worship, and still holding on to your faith. Imagine discovering a new belief system in the middle of chaos and finding peace within it. This is the reality for many Muslims in Ukraine. Their story is not just about religion. It is about identity, resilience, and hope. Thank you for watching.